Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be going over a play to earn game on the Binance Smart Chain. That is a very simplistic game to play and it was pretty popular for a little while. The token has taken a bit of a beating, so it might be time to take another look at Nintia Estate. Now this game is very interesting because it's a very simple real estate based game. The basic concept before we go over the white paper is that you're going to get properties, you're going to maintain them, and you're going to earn rent. That means you're going to have to do certain things within the game to go ahead and make sure your properties stay good and in great shape, such as cleaning them, doing repairs, and you're going to have the ability to go as far as someone who just owns property to somebody who also owns land and properties, and eventually the game will have an ability for you to rent out your properties and lands to other people to play for them while you are earning some passive income. They also have a plan to go from being a game that is very simplistic and 2D at this current state to a game that'll mimic the SimCity games that many people know and love, but will live on the blockchain and will be based off of the current NFTs that people are playing with in their game. Being on the Binance Smart Chain, you don't have to worry about a lot of fees, and it is very, very cheap to get into this game at this point. You can get in at the most entry-level position for under $5, and that's not a joke. And you'll be able to start playing the game, earning their token, see if you like it, and then there is still land for sale. Land is very cheap, and you could help drive this ecosystem and help them as they're getting ready to launch another kind of ad campaign, some specials and some promos. I can't get into everything that I've been told, but I do know some stuff is coming because a friend of mine is into this game. He contacted me and told me I should take a look at it because it's a very good time to get in. Now, why might it be a good time to get into this game? Here's the token over the last 90 days. It came out and it had some hype up here around 20 cents, and now it's sitting down here at about 1.4 cents. Now, maybe you're thinking this game is dead. It can't go anywhere and it can't do anything. Well, it's a very, very low risk to get into this game. You can get a land, you can get a few properties, you can do it all for under $20 to $30 to $40, even $50 if you want to get some of the more upscale lands. And then you can see if this team can drive and push into the future and change their game into that goal they have of a full SimCity type game. So let's go over what the game is. We're going to try to do this really quickly. So they did launch their own currency, the Nintia Token. It's a BEP20 token. It does have a maximum supply, so that's something that you should know. And the money can be moved in and out of the game, and they have a special one for that. Now, what is this token used for? You can buy, it's basically used in their marketplace. Anything you want to buy or sell within their marketplace is going to be done within their token, and it's used as a way to get money in and out of the game. As you can see, when you send money into the game, one token gets you $100, and when you want to get money out of the game, you have to pay $125 to get one token out. Obviously, that little tax is there to make you have to spend a little bit more time before you can get money out. Something to note, they do have a 15-day cooldown for any time you take money out of the game. This is kind of an anti-whale measure, so you can't have some big users earning a lot of money, constantly taking that money out of the game and dumping it onto the marketplace. Now that measure is here, and they can adjust it if needed. Unfortunately, their token didn't do well over the beginning. From what I've heard, they had some of their big investors just dump their tokens, and we know VCs do that, but the team is still working hard. They had a really good AMA recently, which I'm going to cover in a second video when I go over the actual gameplay. But today I'm just going to be telling you about the project, how it works, showing you the marketplace, and then we'll get into actual gameplay and some other stuff a little bit later. Now, the team doesn't have any tokens, but because of that, they have some BNB fees on certain actions within the game. Now, this just means that when you go to do your action, your gas is going to look a little bit higher than normal, but do know this is the money is going to the team. It is how they are paying for their marketing plans, their development, and everything else. It's an interesting fee structure. You might not like this. If that scares you away, I understand. I got over it though because they did renounce all their own tokens. They're not dumping tokens into the market. And when they are doing marketing and things like that, if they are paying out their token, then they have to go to the marketplace and buy it. So now the team is a net buyer. They do use portions of this BNB to go out and buy their own token when they need to. And when they don't, they are able to offer people BNB, which is a little bit easier to do when you're talking about developing and marketing. So this is going to be okay in my mind. Now the properties. Currently, it would cost you exactly about $3.61 to try to mint a property. Now, you are able to get a random property. They have different chances for you to get these. So there's a house, a mansion, a building, and a skyscraper. All of these have different number of rooms. The amount of rent that a building can earn is based on the number of rooms it has in good working order. So that's something that's pretty important to understand. The gotcha system, as they have right here, shows you this 250 to mint. That's actually become a permanent price. They need to update their roadmap here, or their Git book. They just announced in their AMA that this is now the permanent price going forward for minting properties. Now, this is a nice token burn for it, because if you're somebody who wants the best properties, they have a burning function. You're going to be minting a whole bunch of properties, burning the little ones, minting again until you have all skyscrapers. That can, if you had a big-ish whale person who wanted to have 12 skyscrapers to put on their piece of land, they would have to mint quite a bit of properties, burn quite a bit of them until they went ahead and were able to get lucky to get them. As you see, skyscrapers are only a 2% chance, so 2% to get 12 of them, you get a 2 on every 100 you'd mint. So you'd have to mint around 600 properties to get enough to fill out one of the more abundant lands, and we'll get into the lands in just a moment. The return on investment on properties, based on the fact that you were able to put them on there, keep them in good order, and make your money back, is actually pretty quick. And this is probably why the token hasn't done that well. The houses and the mansions are paying out very, very fast. And I would be someone who would say that maybe they could look to pay you back a little bit slower. I know, like Gala Games, their NFTs have a payback ROI of about 14 days. I mean, of about 200 days. Whereas these ones, they're as small as 7 days to about 19 days. Given you have a random chance, so you're going to be getting mostly houses when you mint these. Also, they have another kind of sync built into the game that you can try to paint your houses, and if you get any of these super rare things, you get extra money for them. But you can just paint them over and over and over and over again. That's another sync meant to burn tokens, and you could be trying to maybe eventually going for a town with all gold buildings, all black buildings, or all white buildings. Those are the rare ones. Or maybe you're someone that just likes purple, so you're going to have to paint them a few times until you get purple, because there's only about a 1 in 5 chance, a little bit less than a 1 in 5 chance of getting a purple building. Here's the bonuses. Gold properties get 15% extra money, blacks get 6%, and whites get 2% more. And those are the only ones with bonuses. The other ones, if you picked, would just be cosmetic, and maybe you're not someone who's going to paint enough to get all gold buildings, but it's somewhere where you can go ahead and dump your tokens while you're playing this game, if you're trying to get ready for the future when this is a SimCity game and it launches and it gets super popular, and all of a sudden you're sitting there with your city already built up with a bunch of gold buildings. That would possibly be a very good thing to do. Now, the lands, they have 4 different kinds of lands that have different rarities. So everybody gets a free desert land plot for playing the game, but it's not an NFT, it's an in-game plot. You can only build 3 houses on it, and if you live out in the desert, there are some extra parts of the game that you don't deal with if you're an actual player of the game who owns a land that you purchased. You have to protect this land, you have to put up fences, otherwise you can get robbed and you'll get less rent money and other things like that. And that's where you're going to be at if you decide to play the game for free. Now, if you buy the cheapest land, you get 6 of these that you can build, and on this land you don't have to worry about the people coming to rob you anymore, at least not at this point. If you go, and with each land that you go up with, they cost more, they have more bonuses to per rent, and they allow more houses on them. I currently bought 1 plot of the Antonopolis land for a little bit around $40, which was pretty cheap. And while lands are on sale, which if this game catches on a little bit, if a few people get into it, the land should go ahead and go away pretty quick. There is the NFT burning that I told you about. You will get, for each property you burn, you get 100 of these tokens back. Now, it costs you 250 to mint it, so that's not a whole lot back, but it allows you to get rid of eventually your lower grade houses once you've earned enough money up there to where you're like, that's it, I don't want a house anymore, I want mansions at least. So you want to burn all your houses and try to mint enough to get enough mansions. Now they do have a marketplace, so instead of burning your properties for 100, you could go ahead and go and sell them. But this burning mechanism makes sure that there is a floor. Nobody should be selling a house for any less than, say, $100 of these tokens. Plus, since they have to pay $2, you'd have to go ahead and go over here, put a 2 here. So realistically, nobody should be selling a property for less than 240, which is almost mint price. That does mean that the marketplace is not really the best place to go and sell your properties at this point, but it does mean that you can burn them and get out of them relatively quickly. They have introduced a new thing to kind of help their ecosystem recently, and this is called electricity. Basically, the electricity system allows you to pay money to increase the amount of income that you make on your house every day. Those ROI numbers were with electricity, so they actually are out there a little bit further than we originally saw, unless you are paying for this. This electricity is a way that they decided to hopefully earn a little bit more money for the team, because there is a B&B fee on this. Also to hopefully get their regular token a little bit more use case, and it is another aspect of the game. At this point, it looks like if you're playing, it's worth it to pay the electricity, but you do have to set yourself up to get all the bonuses, bonus discounts, that is. So if you're holding at least 100 of these tokens in your wallet, you get a discount. 1,000 gets you a bigger discount. You get a discount if you own land, and you get a discount if you have 2 properties and onward. So I currently have a land and 1 property, so I'm not getting that discount, but this discount of 4% can stock up until you have 6 properties. So as you can see, a bought land, even the smaller one that has 6 spots with 6 properties, and all of a sudden when you come to pay for this, you're paying something like this fee down here, which is way, way lower than the fee that they talked about up here. So the idea here is that you can make your houses get a higher ROI if you spend a little bit of money, and you get a better return on how much you have to spend if you're somebody who has invested more into the game, is supporting it by holding more tokens. This is all a very good system for supporting their own token and supporting you to stay within their ecosystem. Now, the whole idea of farming is kind of an interesting thing, but they're basically talking, and I'll let you come and read this part if you want to know it right away, and we'll go over it in the gameplay. But the idea is you have to go out and you have to do paying rent. You have to go out and keep your house clean. You have to pay rent, and there's all these other things. Now, they have a nice ROI calculator on the game, so you can check both of those out. I'm not going to get into them today, but it is something that is worth getting into. On the getting started, they just you just want to know that they're explaining you get a free land, that you can buy a land, but you do have to buy at least 1 property. So if you want to play the game, you have to buy at least 1 property. Those are about $3.60 to get enough tokens. You need 250, and you'd have to pay a couple B&B fees. Now, when you collect your rent, you can collect the rent. You have to collect at a 7-day time period. Then you're able to collect your rent and it comes to you. Now, once 7 days has passed and your rent is sitting there, you need to click the button and collect it, or on the next day it won't go up. So once a week on that day that your rent comes due, you do need to go and collect it. Otherwise, you can lose 1 day's worth of rent. So there is some ability to have to pay it. You do get a penalty if you don't clean the rooms of your own building, but they have some in-game tools to help you with that and protect you from that. Repairing is an essential task. And then the free land, I told you there's some extra things you have to deal with by making fences. They're basically things that kind of just slow down how much you earn while you're on free land, which kind of makes sense. If you're not willing to buy a land, then you make a little bit less money, but you still are making money for playing the game. We'll go over the different in-game items really quick. So there's a cleaning tool. Basically, you get $100 each time you clean someone else's building, but you get nothing if you clean your own building. So you pay $500 for this and you get 50 tools. If you were to use those on all other people's buildings, you would get a return of $5,000 within the game for cleaning them. But if you use it to clean your own building, well, then you're spending $500 to clean your own building so that you can earn the rent of your building. So there's some give or take there with how much you want to clean your own building and how much you want to use the maid service. So the maid service service insurance, this one costs $400 and it'll clean your own building. That's not really worth it if you have a small building, but if you have a big building, it becomes a little bit more worth it. So you'll have to play and learn about the internal things. The repair tools, you get $150 for repairing, and you get 10 uses for only $200. So this one, you actually make a better profit margin, or well, you're making a little bit more per use, but it ends up being these are the ways that you go ahead and earn that money. Then once you, like if you had 5,000 tokens that you earned, you'd be able to extract those at the 125 to 1 to earn these other tokens. And there's a limit of how much cleaning you're allowed to do per day based on how many buildings you have. So the more you invest into the game, the faster you can earn money out of the game. So this is why it pays to be one of the people that builds up your lands and builds up your buildings over time. Fences and paint are things that are only really needed. Fences if you are in the desert properties, and paint is optional to try to paint your buildings, but they are more sinks. But those are all the different in-game items. When you go to the maps, they're going to look like this and have buildings, and maybe we'll take a quick look at that before at the end of this video, but I want to get near the end here. There is a leaderboard system on a monthly season challenge, and the top 300 players will earn rewards. And they are also going to have certain seasonal properties. So eventually they're going to add some things into the games that have to do with special times of the year and things like that. I haven't fully understood those yet, but because I haven't seen them in the game. But I really wanted to let you guys know about this now because it is just so cheap to get into this game. They do have a built-in lottery system. This is another thing that they've built in to go ahead and give their token a little bit more use case and a little bit more things you can do within the game for the token. This is pretty simple. You pay 150 of the in-game currency for a ticket. You can buy as many tickets as you want, and it's broken down pays out up to 20th places, and 30% is redirected into a rewards pool. So this is one of the ways that they're helping refill their rewards pool. That is another reason why they have all these in-game currencies and stuff. These tokens don't go to the team. They refill the rewards pool because this is a limited use token. It is not an infinite token. So you can see here, it's a big token, 1 trillion, but that is their token for their economy, and it is never going to be more than 1 million tokens, except for it's a billion. I mean, a trillion. It's 1 trillion tokens. That number. They burned 80 million. The team burnt their tokens. They have the in-game pool is this huge amount. They have this amount that is there for staking because they have a staking mechanism we'll go over in just a moment. And then they have these other tokens for marketing, for DEX liquidity, for advisors. They had some that they gave away in the public sale. They have some that went to partners. They have a little bit that went into a private sale. Overall, I would say these supplies aren't too bad, but from what I've heard, this 40 or so million tokens did not go the way they had hoped. Now, they did introduce a staking system with a very, very generous APY. These ones don't look that good until you figure out that 4% over 3 days is just ridiculous if you looked at it annually. And 38% over 50 days is just wild too. Now, the staking pools and these percentages will probably have to change or come to an end because they did only give so many tokens to their system, but they can adjust it. They say interest rates will be adjusted to try to make that money last, and there's ways for them to refill that with the in-game sinks that they have. So we'll have to see exactly how they manage the staking pools, but right now they are extremely, extremely generous, and it's very easy to get a pretty big chunk of these tokens. The early access stuff we don't need to go over. The game is live. None of these things matter. Now, there is a PvP section of the game, but that's still in development, so we don't have that up and running. But there are PvP mini games, and they do have their first one up, which is called Thief Hunter. It's a pretty simplistic game and idea, though I haven't been able to play it, but it allows you to basically play a game where little guys are going to show up on the board. 4 of you are playing. You try to catch all the thieves, but don't catch the people who are not thieves, or you lose points, and whoever does the best wins. It's a pretty simplistic idea. The 4 of you pay. You all put in $1,000, and first place gets $1,600, second gets $200, third place only, or $1,200, third place only loses a little bit, fourth place gets nothing, and $400 goes back to the rewards pool. Another sync within there, and eventually they should have a whole suite of mini games for people to play. Their roadmap is coming along pretty well. And eventually, they want to get their utility game, SimCity styled game with new expansions and different thematics. This is going to be a major update. We'll have to see if they can still pull this off in Q2, but it's coming up. And if you get into the game now, you're going to get in pretty cheap. You're going to have the ability to make your money back in just a few months if you play the market correctly. And you're also going to have, or you can go ahead and just reinvest all of that money into the game and get more and more things. That'll be up to you. So we'll take a quick look at their marketplace. So you do have to sign in with a Binance Smart Chain wallet and give them an email address. They do require that. Here's their staking portal. As you can see, I do have some token staking. I staked 3,000 of their tokens. My profit will be 480 tokens, and I will get them out on the 30th. I did this a few days ago. I did buy one land, so I have one Annapolis land, and I have one building that I purchased. And then they have a land shop here. So as you can see, there are still lands available. This one's kind of funny. You can actually buy an extra spot for your desert. So your free desert comes with 3. But if you want to spend just a little bit of money, you can get another house spot for your desert. Each player is allowed to buy 3 of these. So this isn't only 3 available. This is 3 available to you. These ones are ones that are available currently for sale. And they are releasing their land sales 30% at a time, kind of strategically placed, letting the game build up and then going ahead and releasing more land sales. These ones just went on sale recently. They did not sell out yet, so you still have some time to come in here and get some. As you can see, the most expensive land at 3,000 of these tokens would run you $43. That's pretty cheap for a land. And if we go to the cheapest land, that is the Wakefield. This one would allow 6 properties. It's half as much at 1,500 tokens, which equates to about $21. So to buy your own land and just 1 or 2 properties to play the game, you're looking at about $30 in fees, or in cost. Now, they do have a P2P market. You can see there are some people who are selling houses relatively cheap. I would say that you could come in here, and if you buy these houses, you would own a house and you could play the game, and then you save yourself a little bit of money. This is literally like $2 instead of $3.50. So for about $2, you can get into the game if you don't want to have a chance to roll and get a better house. If you do the property sales, you pay $250 plus $1 in B&B. So I guess this is about $5, just a little bit under. And you would have a chance to get any property. Now, they do have, this is the portal for moving money in and out. So you see it can work both ways, but you can only use it on the way out every 15 days. This is the electricity grid. So basically for me, if I wanted to buy electricity for my buildings, I would have to pay this many tokens for 3 days, and you would have to come back and pay for it each 3 days, and it would get you the extra earnings within the game. You don't have to do the electricity side. It just speeds up your earnings, so everything can be done quicker. But the one caveat is, if the token on the outside continued to go down and just get plummeted and go down and down and down, then speeding up your in-game tokens by spending current tokens could give you a loss. But this is one of those things you'll have to judge on your own. The last thing I kind of want to mention, if you go into settings, they do have the ability, you do have to approve each one of their contracts. So this is a little bit of a bummer that it's not all built into one contract, but it does show that the team did go ahead and decide to break out all the different parts of their games into multiple different contracts. Now, the one nice thing about that, in my opinion, is as they were able to give away ownership of certain parts of the contract while keeping ownership of parts that actually run the game. This is going to allow them in future development to be able to do upgrades to certain pieces a lot easier, in my opinion, because they'll only have to touch the certain contracts when they decide to make changes to those, like the game contract or the property marketplace, but they won't have to mess with the land shop or the property contract or the staking contract when they're doing those things. So they're not going to accidentally break staking because they decide to change something in the game. Sometimes when people have everything built into one contract, you've seen those type of things happening where they don't understand why they did one thing and it breaks something else in the game, and they have to go and figure out why that happened. I think we're going to go ahead and end it there. I hope you liked my initial video here, and I'm going to be doing another one where I go ahead and show you how to actually play this game. Thanks, everybody. Bye.